Okay, this one is about Top Pop. So Top Pop is from the minds of Mark McGee and Joshua J. Mills and is being published by Talon Strikes Studios. I don't want this to cause a whole argument about pop versus soda. I'm born and raised Buffalo, New York. We said pop. I know pop is sort of different pockets. It's not like a region thing. Well, it is and it isn't. Some people say soda, people say pop. I say soda now because I got tired of getting looks when I would say pop. So now I just say soda. I mean, if you want to retitle this to Superior Soda, I don't know how Mark or Joshua or the good folks at Talon Strike would feel about that. But if you're playing the game and enjoying it, I suspect they'd probably forgive you. So Top Pop, as you can see, these are not actually licensed sodas here. These are, as you can see, Top Pop has their own versions of some of our favorite sodas. The background for Top Pop essentially is it's the 1960s and the popularity of soda is taken off. And each player is going to be the owner of a brand of soda and is trying to stake their claim and trying to get their soda to be the most popular soda in various cities all over the United States. So we have Squeeze Soda, 3 Down, Royal Queen, Dr. Berry, R&R Root Beer, and Canada Night. I really like Canada Night. I like them all, but Canada Night sort of makes me chuckle a little bit because it's just, they're all close, but especially I guess Royal Queen. But that's not the point. I don't know. I like the art for Canada Night. That's the backdrop. So everybody's trying to make sure their soda, put enough of their soda in certain cities to make sure that people are drinking their brand of soda. It's soda war. Pop pugilism. I don't know. I can't. I should just stop and just show you how the game works. I'll do that. So in Top Pop, you're going to have bottle caps that are going to represent the various companies. So you have green representing 3 Down, you have blue representing Royal Queen, and you have yellow representing Canada Night, and you have a matching soda company board. All the information on each one is the same, showing what the setup is, the gameplay steps. It's like a player guide. It's kind of nice. And I'm setting up a 3-player game. So over here you have the orange squeeze for orange. You're gonna have brown for the R&R root beer, and the red is going to be for Dr. Berry. In addition to that, you're gonna have a pad for scoring, a deck of 42 cards comprised of various cities. There's gonna be 7 cities in the game: St. Louis, New York, San Francisco, Las Vegas, Chicago, Seattle, and New Orleans, or Nolans, or New Orleans. You know what I mean. There's going to be one nighttime version of each of those cities. So there's a nighttime version of St. Louis, New York, San Francisco, Las Vegas, Chicago, Seattle, and New Orleans. And these are the cities where you're trying to get your product into them to make them the most popular. So if you can bombard these cities with your product, maybe you'll come out on top. Somebody also mentioned that the numbers in the upper left corner are not points or anything. These are just differentiators between the cards. So somebody, even if they didn't know what St. Louis was, whatever, you can focus on the numbers instead, and the game can still be played regardless. So that's kind of nice. There's also variants of all the cities. There's like power variant cards of each one. So just for example, St. Louis's, at the beginning of any player's turn, you may return this card to the middle to prevent that player from winning cards. Wow. New York is, you may return this card to the middle to play a day card face down or a night card face up. That'll make more sense as we go along. But I'm not going to read all of them, but there are 7 different variants, which definitely do change the gameplay up a little bit, those are also an option should you wish to use those. I believe if you play without them, I think they just focus as regular cards. I already mentioned the scoring pad. It's very colorful, very nice. If you flip it like this, you can feel the air that it moves towards you or any direction that it might be facing. So you can do it towards you, towards others, or you can sort of like a half circle kind of thing. Is that, let me show, okay, everybody, okay, we're good. How the day and night cards differ is on your turn when you play a card, you are putting a city card either in front of you or in front of one of your opponents. And daytime cards would normally just go face up. Everybody can see what it is. Whereas nighttime cards would go face down. So there's a little bit more randomness. Whereas the person who plays the nighttime card, he played in front of you, you know what you're playing. If you play a nighttime card in front of someone else, they can look at it because it's in front of them, but no other player can look at it. So it creates an interesting, so it mixes it up a bit where daytime, you know what it is. You can see it's Las Vegas. You can see it's San Francisco. Nighttime, you might try to influence that card / area, not really knowing what it is. Let's play a couple of turns and show you how it works. Oh, let me also mention that I believe the goal for the final version of the game, this is a prototype, by the way, is to have the caps have the artwork of the various different types of sodas and perhaps be more cap shaped. I believe that is the goal. Whether I'm right or I'm wrong, this is a prototype, so everything you're seeing here is not necessarily indicative of what the final product will be. One thing definitely worth mentioning, I'm probably mentioning this for the first time, is that the point of the game is to get the most points. That's the whole game. The whole game is you want to win by points. You score points by the diversity of the cities that you have. So on each player guide, it actually shows you. So if you have 2 different types of cities at the end of the game that you've claimed, you get 2 points. If you have 3, you get 4, 4, you get 6, 5, you get 8, 6, you get 10. And I don't know if it's because the rules aren't necessarily finished, but there might be a 7 and you get 12. But I don't think I'll be getting 7 different types of cities, but especially considering that I'm going to be showing how a 3-player game might work. And in a 3-player game, you do not have Seattle or New Orleans in a 3-player game. So 8 and 9 are essentially out. If that makes sense. So like I said, the whole point of the game is to score points. So if you end up having the most of a certain, so let's say I have the most Chicago's out of all 3 players in the game, I have the most Chicago's, I would get 2 points for each Chicago I have. If I'm tied with another player for New York's, we all will get 1 point each. So if you have the most of something, you get 2 points. Only if you tie for the most do you get a point for other cities. As I said before, you also score points for having the most different cities at the end of the game. So I'll be player 1. I get 3 cards and 1 bottle cap of my color. I'm blue, so I'll take a blue. Second player would get 2 bottle caps of their own color and also a hand of 3 cards. And the third player would get 1 of their own bottle caps. So they're gonna have a yellow there. They would get 4 cards, and the third player would have the added sort of game balancing benefit of adding 1 of their 4 cards in front of them. Now, player 3 has a New York at night, New York during the day. So, let's say they take the night New York. Let's place that down. So, player 1, player 2, player 3. Player 1. The first step in any player's turn is to collect a city. What that means is if you have the tallest tower that's capped off with 1 of your bottle caps on a city that you placed in the previous turn, and it comes back around and yours is still the tallest, you get to claim it. That'll make sense in just a second, but you can't do that on your first turn because you haven't played anything yet. So for the first turn of a game, you can't do the first step. But what you can do is you can play a card. So the first thing you do is play a card. First player has Chicago, San Francisco, Las Vegas. So I'm going to play Chicago in front of player 2. I'll have it face up. So I'm playing Chicago in front of player 2. And after I do that, I can collect caps. So because I played a card in front of player 2, I get to take one of their bottle caps. Because after you play a card, you get to collect the bottle cap in front of the person whom you played in front of, not including yourself. After I do that, I get to... So the only way you can collect 2 different caps in a turn is if you place a card in front of somebody else, collect their color. And the next step is you will collect bottle caps. So of any color you want, I'm going to collect my own, because you can only put down a stack of caps that 1 has your cap on top and 2 has to be the tallest one on it. So if somebody put down a stack of 3, you can't put down a stack of 3 because you're not really competing. You have to put down more than 3. I'm going to place a stack of 2 on Chicago. So a stack of 2 because I used their green and then mine is on top. Only thing that really matters to you is that yours is on top, which lets you know that's your stack. And then I'm gonna draw a card. Okay, player 2. Player 2 has 2 San Franciscos and a Vegas. So player 2 is going to place a San Francisco in front of player 1. They played a card, which also means player 2 is going to take a blue bottle cap because they played it in front of player 1. After that, they're going to take any bottle cap they wish. They're probably going to take their own. So now player 2 has 3 of their own and then 1 of mine. And now they can place their stack. You can place more than 1 stack, by the way. So, I mean, do they really want Chicago? I don't know. Because they have 2 San Franciscos here, they're probably going to want to really double down on San Francisco. So they're going to place a stack of 3, 2 of their own, 1 of blues, onto San Francisco. Now, if player 2 had Chicago, they probably want to compete for this Chicago by placing 3, which would be more than player 1's 2, if that makes sense. So after that, they're going to draw a card. Over to player 3. Player 3 has already placed a New York Knight. Nobody else knows that but them. I don't think you're unable to place a nighttime card, being player 3 as the first step and not really starting the game yet, but I hope I'm not wrong. Player 3's turn. They are going to take a look at their cards. Now, they already have a New York in front of them, so they're going to place a New York in front of player 1, one of player 1's bottle caps, and then they're going to take their own. You don't have to take your own. You can take anybody's bottle cap in the 3rd step of a game. I'm sorry, in the 4th step. You can take anybody's bottle cap. The reason why you're incentivized to take your own is because you can't place a stack unless it has your cap on top. Let's say hypothetically player 3 had put a wager on Chicago instead of New York, and it came back around as player 1's turn. Player 3 did not win the Chicago card because they only have a stack of 1, whereas player 1 is a stack of 2. So player 1 wins. The tallest stack of caps actually goes to the player it's sitting in front of. So player 2 didn't really get anything in terms of cards, but they got the tallest stack of, but they got the tallest stack of caps, which is great for them because now they have more caps. And one of them happens to be in their own color. Now, let's say hypothetically player 3 had placed on Chicago. They didn't win that. They would get their cap back. And then player 1 would get Chicago. And now player 1 already has a Chicago, and I'm not sure why that was really to their advantage, but now that I think about it, but here we are. So that was hypothetical. I was showing an example of how the caps are divvied up once a city is collected. The person the card is sitting in front of gets the most of them, unless it's you. If you place the card in front of you, if you win a card in front of you, you don't get the tallest stack of caps. They will go back into the pool. Only when a card is in front of someone else that you win, the person in front of gets the tallest stack of caps, and whoever else has stacks on that did not win gets theirs back. So I'll do a couple more. So I collected Chicago as player 1. And now I have to play a card. Let's see what else is out here. We got some San Francisco's out here and a Vegas. Now I'll also only have one cap here, so I definitely want to place it in front of someone else. So I wish I had another Chicago, but I don't. Let's say I want to play Vegas in front of. Maybe I don't want to play it in front of them because they're gonna really win it. I'll play Vegas. Well, they just won some caps. So I'll place Vegas in front of player 3, which means I'm going to take one of theirs, and I want to eat up all of mine just yet. So, and let's say I want to place a stack of 3. So I'll just take one from player 2, and I'm going to place this stack on top of Vegas. So I have a stack of 3 on top of Vegas. Play the cap, and I'm going to draw a card. I don't know what I got. I got another Vegas. Okay, good. Hopefully I'll win that Vegas. Player 2. Let's see. Player 2 is going to win this stack. This San Francisco has green on top. Player 2 is green. So because they're all in front of player 1, they get to keep the stack, but player 2 gets San Francisco. So player 2 has a San Francisco. Normally you would probably not have your cards face up for everybody to see. You'd probably tuck them away, but just for example's sake, so they're winning that. And now they're going to be playing a card. Now they just won a San Francisco, so it might make sense to, I don't know, play another San Francisco. So they're playing that in front of player 1, which means they get one of theirs. And let's say they want to take one from player. Okay, so they're kind of invested in San Francisco now, obviously, because they won it. Now, like I said, you probably would not want to have the card face up, reminding everybody of what you've won, what you're invested in, which sort of plays into like, well, now people might be competing to make sure you can't get multiples of that card because you'll score more points. So they're clearly invested in San Francisco. So they're going to place a stack of 4 on San Francisco. And they're going to draw a card, and that's their turn. Okay, player 3. No one bid on New York here, which probably wasn't very smart. Well, it's a thing. You have to ask yourself a question. Do I want to invest more in things that I really need to score points on because they're in my hand or things that I already have? Or do I want to stop other people from scoring? I feel like you kind of want to get your foothold in something and then we shift towards seeing how much somebody wants to bet on other things that you're not quite as invested in. But, okay, player 1 and player 2 made decisions. And now player 3 is going to get this New York and that New York. These caps are going to go back into the general supply because they're in a card that's one in front of the player. So they're not going to get that. So they have 2 New Yorks. Look at that. Well played. Okay. Let's see here. What are they going to do? They have 2 New Yorks, a San Francisco, and a Vegas. Now, they kind of know, they can probably see that player 2, San Francisco, is really important to player 2. But nobody's really done anything with St. Louis yet. So they're going to place a St. Louis in front of player 1. And they're going to get a green cap for that. And they're going to take, green. Take a blue one because they put it in front of player 1, and they're just going to take a green from player 2. And that is the flow to the game. In Top Pop, it's sort of an area management thing where the area is really just the cards themselves, and you're taking a look at your hand and figuring out, what do I have? How many caps can I afford to place on this thing to get my soda in that city? So that all the investment that I'm putting into buying up all the fluoride, because everybody's teeth is going to be all messed up because drinking so much soda, I can still make money selling fluoride to the government. in local municipalities. That's nothing to do with the actual game. I just made that up. But think about it. Yeah. But no, seriously, that's Top Pop. That's sort of the flow of the game. At least a 3-player game. There is a 2-player version of the game where, based on the caps that are out there, a neutral player will be collecting cities, whereas the other 2 human players are trying to really compete with each other more and maybe not lose as much to the neutral player. Or really compete with each other. I don't think you really score on neutral player, really competing with each other. So that's sort of the flow of the game, where you are taking a look at what you have and trying to figure out, how can I get the cities I need, and also maybe not compete too much on certain cards, because I've seen some crazy stacks out there where you have 8, 7, 8, 9 different caps that people are really invested in that particular city and want that card, and perhaps the person the card sitting in front of is like, okay, you all can fight over it, but ultimately when somebody wins it, they're gonna get all those caps, which you may not want. But that's the thing. You have to figure out, is it better for me to fight for these points, even at the risk of giving one of my opponents a lot of caps so they can just place bets on a lot of things? So the game does come to a conclusion when player has collected their 6th city at the top of their turn. At that point, everybody else would get one more turn and the game would end. And once that happens, all the other players would not take step 2. Step 2 is to play a card. Because it's your last turn, there's no reason to play any more cards because you can't really win them at that point. What you could do is just place the caps you have on cards that have no stacks, or augment some of the stacks you already have to sort of win those by the time everybody's turn is over, because whatever cards are out there at the full end of the game, if you have the most caps on it, you win. You just can't place new cities out after a player has collected their 6th city. So that's Top Pop. So at that point, you would score up everybody's cards, where you would mark down how many of each city every player has. Whoever has the most of that city, let's say player 3 ended up with 3 New Yorks. They have the most. They would get 2 points for each New York card they have because they have the most. That'd be 6 points. Now, if they only got New York, then they get 0 in terms of city diversity because they only got 1 city type. So you got to figure that out. So you don't want to, even if you're not getting multiples of, if you're not getting a lot of multiples of cities, maybe you go for getting the most types of cities. You can still score a decent amount of points that way as well. And that is how Top Pop essentially plays. We're trying to cut back on soda in the last couple of years. I drink more water, tell myself I'm trying to be healthy, that kind of thing. But Top Pop is pretty tempting and might just throw me back into soda once more. Top Pop is going to be on Kickstarter shortly. If you like soda, you don't like soda, but you like fun area control bidding games, Top Pop probably has something for you. So that's going to do it for me. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Give it a like, thumbs up, all that good stuff. Share with a friend. All right, I'm out of here. Thank you. Take care. Stay safe. Wear a mask. Get vaccinated. Still wear a mask. And take care. Be blessed.